1. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Standing proudly in Egypt's desert for over 4,500 years, the Great Pyramid of Giza is the only ancient wonder still standing today. Built around 2560 BC for Pharaoh Khufu, this massive structure was originally 481 feet tall, taller than a 40-story building. What's truly astonishing? It was made of over 2 million limestone blocks, each weighing tons, and built entirely without modern machines. Some believe it took over 20 years to complete and involved thousands of workers, architects, and laborers. Fun fact, despite centuries of erosion, it's still almost perfectly aligned with the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. 2. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Imagine walking through a desert city and suddenly seeing waterfalls, exotic plants, and lush green terraces rising into the sky. That was said to be the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, built by King Nebuchadnezzar II around 600 BC in what is now Iraq. Legend says the king built it to comfort his homesick wife, who missed the mountains of her homeland. But here's the twist, no one has ever found physical proof that the gardens existed. Some believe it was pure myth or even confused with gardens in another city. Fun fact. If real, the gardens may have used one of the earliest forms of irrigation, a chain pump system powered by humans or animals. 3. The statue of Zeus at Olympia. In ancient Greece, people didn't just worship gods, they built monuments to bring them to life. The statue of Zeus, built in 435 BC by the legendary sculptor Phidias, sat inside the grand temple of Zeus in Olympia. This enormous figure was over 40 feet tall and made of ivory and gold, showing Zeus seated on a majestic throne. Fun fact. The statue was so magnificent that people traveled from all over the world just to see it. Some even said it made them feel as if they stood before a god. 4. The Temple of Artemis at Ephesus. Built in what is now Turkey, the Temple of Artemis wasn't just a place of worship, it was a masterpiece of ancient architecture. Constructed around 550 BC, it had 127 marble columns each standing 60 feet tall. The temple honored Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt and nature. The temple was decorated with sculptures, paintings, and fine jewelry offerings from across the Greek world. Fun fact. The temple was so admired that it was rebuilt multiple times. In fact, one arsonist destroyed it just to make his name remembered in history. 5. The Mausoleum at Halicarnassus. A love story built in stone, the Mausoleum at Halicarnassus was a grand tomb built around 350 BC for King Mausolus by his wife and sister, Artemisia. It stood nearly 150 feet tall and was decorated with elaborate carvings and sculptures from the greatest Greek artists of the time. Its unique design, part Greek temple, part Egyptian pyramid, made it one of the most artistic tombs ever constructed.
Sadly, an earthquake destroyed it only 54 years later. Although many imagine it straddled the harbor entrance, historians believe it actually stood beside the port. Fun fact, the word mausoleum actually comes from King Mausolus. His tomb was so iconic, it gave its name to all grand tombs afterward. 6. The Colossus of Rhodes. After surviving a long siege, the people of Rhodes built a statue so huge, it became a symbol of triumph and resilience. The Colossus of Rhodes, finished around 280 BC, stood about 108 feet tall, roughly the same height as the Statue of Liberty without its base. It depicted the sun god Helios and was made of bronze. 7. The Lighthouse of Alexandria. Guiding sailors to safety for centuries, the Lighthouse of Alexandria stood on the island of Pharos in Egypt. Built in the 3rd century BC, it was one of the tallest man-made structures of its time, estimated between 330 to 430 feet tall. It used mirrors and firelight to signal ships far out at sea and helped make Alexandria one of the ancient world's greatest ports. It was constructed in 3 stages, a square base, a cylindrical midsection, and a smaller rune